Okay, guys. The bed is definitely calling my name right now. But I'm going to do this review and I'm going to be a fair reviewer. So let's get started with Hell in a Cell. Now, when I was actually talking to people on Twitter, I really wanted to know exactly what this epic intro was. Because when I was talking to Cream Crazy, he was like, "Epic intro!" And I was like, "What?" And I actually saw it. And I'm like, that was a pretty freaking epic intro. Like, honestly, they went all the way back to 1997 and talked about the first most epic Hell in a Cell ever, The Undertaker versus Mankind, and was talking about how completely sadistic that the actual cell was. And honestly, I really wish that the Hell in a Cell of old was like the Hell in a Cell now. Because I'm gonna probably skip from match to match, but I'm gonna be real here. I would have loved, and not intentionally for him to get hurt, but I would have loved for Paul Heyman to fall through. Like, honestly, it really would have been interesting to see him fall through, but instead of him hitting the mat, he would have landed on Ryback. That would have been awesome. See him fall straight through the ring, straight through the cell, and actually land on Ryback, and them just be like, completely passed out. That would have been awesome, and CM Punk would have been like, yeah, and then that would have been awesome for me. But let's talk about the opener. Honestly, the opener was the tag team titles. That was one of my personal main events of the night. That was a great match. Great, entertaining match through and through. I loved it. And I'm not going to lie, the way that Hell in a Cell started, it started off with a lot of momentum. It started off with a great tag team title match. And then it moved on down to the Wyatt family being called out by The Miz. But who did we get? We got Kane! Kane is back! And not only that, Kane is back for himself. I was kind of hoping that he actually became brainwashed and, somehow became part of the Wyatt family. But although I don't care, I'm happy that my monster has returned. Yay! I was crunk. I was so crunk to actually see Kane, because Kane is going to come out with a vengeance. He's going to go to the Wyatt family. He's going to be feuding with the Wyatt family. It's going to be awesome! Okay. Whew. Well, all I know is that Hell in a Cell started off with a bang. I'm not going to lie. Started off with a bang, man. But honestly, it's kind of a big jip in a little ways. It's because there's no IC title match, because somehow, some way, Curtis Axel got hurt again. Like, honestly, WWE, for real, if you're going to have an IC championship match, can you please not have your actual champions perform the night before the actual pay-per-view? It would actually work. He wouldn't be hurt so much. And not only that, Biggie Langston would have had a decent title shot. And it would have been great for his career if he started off. But it's messed up how he was downgraded from the IC championship to the US title, only to somehow lose by countout. Which means this crap's going to continue. Biggie Langston needs a title. He needs a belt. He needs something. And honestly, if Biggie Langston was actually the champion, it would do a lot more for that belt. Because let's face it, I love Dean Ambrose, but he's doing nothing with that belt. Nothing. Honestly, guys, from starting off with a really great opener to a lot of surprises pretty much towards the middle of the show, halfway to the upper middle of the show, you reach the middle and then it started to slow down. Like it really started to just to speed down to a crawl. And it got really difficult for me to watch because I really started to be able to predict the matches. And when I'm able to predict the matches, it gets boring for me pretty darn quick. But I will say this. I was really happy that they actually respected the mixed tag match and didn't, make random chants and boo and whatever. They actually have paid respect to these women and these men in the ring. And honestly, I was really impressed with Summer Rae. And I'm hoping that Summer Rae will wrestle a lot more on Raw. And the fact that she went against Natalya was even better. Seeing how Natalya was training her. And honestly, I think it went fairly well. I'm glad that Summer Rae actually won. She really needed that win for her first debut. So I think they actually did a good job. And that was a really great match. And not only that, the crowd really got into it, especially when Natty just started to break out the sharpshooter. I was really happy to see that. But then we got like a lot of random matches in the middle. I mean, number one, the U.S. title match wasn't announced, and number two, we got Los Matadores, and that was pretty much out there. And like I've yelled for 1,000 times, and I'm not going to yell it again. For those that saw it on Twitter, you know what I'm talking about. The whole anti-immigrant thing. But I'm not going to even get into that because I've ranted enough about that. It's just ridiculous for me to even talk about it anymore. But honestly, it needs to end. But the fact is, I guess that the whole spin little whirly gig, whatever that Antonio Cesaro does, is way over. But it just wasn't enough for them to get a win. I'm happy the Los Matadores won, but the thing is that the Los Matadores, they're not over. They're not over at all. The Bulls more over than they are, and that's not a good thing. They really need to find a way to get themselves to be more popular without the Bull. Because if that Bull wasn't there, nobody would care. Nobody would really give a crap about them at all. And that's kind of a sad thing. But then we just keep going on from there to the main event of the night. My personal main event of the night. CM Punk versus Ryback versus Paul Heyman. And somehow Paul Heyman ended up trying to weasel his way out of it by staying on top of the cell the entire time. But honestly, that was a really good match. I'm not going to lie. But it seemed like it was more of a hardcore match than it was a Hell in a Cell match. And the one thing that I'm kind of happy that they are getting rid of Hell in a Cell is because they don't use the cell at all. They rarely use the cell. It was more of a hardcore match than it was a Hell in a Cell match. With Hell in a Cell, you pretty much do everything and anything to get that person to bleed within that cell, and you're using the cell as a weapon. But no one uses the cell anymore. So I'm kind of happy that this is the final Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. I'm happy to know that because they're just not utilizing it at all. And it's just ridiculous. It's just dumb to even have this pay-per-view. But in the end, CM Punk finally got his comeuppance. He beat the ever-loving crap out of Paul Heyman with the Singapore cane. And this darn feud is over. Yes! They can finally move on from there, which really does make me happy. And I don't know where they're going to go with CM Punk from here. I have no idea who he's going to feud with from here. But we'll see on Raw. But honestly, let's talk about the main event of the night, shall we? I know we got the World Heavyweight Championship match. We all knew Cena was going to win. We all knew he was gonna do nothing with his arm injury. We all knew he wasn't going to play it out really well. So there's really no point in talking about it. So let's just move on to the main event. The main event was supposed to be epic. It has so much build on up to now, and especially with Shawn Michaels as a special guest referee. I don't like special guest referees, and the reason why is because there's too much focus on them. Even though he said it's not about me, it was about him. It's always about him. It was like that at WrestleMania 28. And it's amazing how the same outcome was in the same city. Now, for those that actually remember WrestleMania 28, we all knew with the whole Undertaker streak match that he was going to somehow interfere, and he did. He sweet chin music Undertaker in the head. Even though he did not give Triple H the win, he still interfered. He did the exact same thing in the main event. Come on now. Even though Triple H really did try to interfere, well, actually kind of did interfere, he still gave him the sweet chin music in the head. And I'm like, it's not supposed to be about you. That's why I don't like special guest referees, man. But, or we got Randy Orton as a champ. Yay. Don't get me wrong, he's still hotness and he's still good to look at. For crying out loud, I'm tired of him being the champ. And the reason why is he's a great heel. Don't get me wrong, he's a great heel. And now that he's a heel, but he's a corporate heel. And I think that's one thing that bothers me the most. He's a corporate heel. I miss the Legend Killer days. I miss the sadistic days of old. Before he became the apex predator, he was actually the Legend Killer. And he was more sadistic as the Legend Killer than anything else. He was better off standalone than having any help from the corporation. But now he's a part of the corporate machine, and it's kind of tainted the whole belt for me. It has. I would rather see Daniel Bryan have it because Daniel Bryan is like raging against the machine. The guy has had 3 pay-per-views where he was pretty much snubbed out of the title. I thought he was going to get his comeuppance tonight. But maybe we gotta wait for a Big Four pay-per-view for that to happen. I don't know. But honestly, I wasn't really happy with the outcome. And not so much of the fact that Daniel Bryan lost, and Randy Orton won. Even though I'm disappointed, it happens. I understand why that happened. I just don't like the fact that HBK interfered. I just wanted the story to play out as it's supposed to play out without HBK interfering at all. But unfortunately, he did, and now we got Randy as the champion. Yay! My other guys, my overall thoughts is this. Hell in a Cell started off with a great momentum. It started off with being really interesting, really fun, and really exciting to watch. But then when it reached the middle, it got stale, it got short, and it got tiresome and cumbersome to watch. Especially with some of the matches you've already predicted were going to turn out the way they did. Especially the Divas match, which is, weird. Seeing how Brie Bella can't really keep her mouth shut, as well as Nikki Bella, and they're like, Brie! Brie! And the entire night, everybody was mocking her, Brie! 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 I mean, Brie mode! I mean, what? I mean, look, dude. Stop trying to Hulk yourself up. Doing the female version of hulking up, it just makes you look weird. Just stop. Altogether, just stop, please. And in the end, no one can break that Black Widow. Not even Caitlyn. And she's stronger than AJ. And she can't even break the Black Widow. There's going to be one person that's going to be able to break the Black Widow. And if that person can break the Black Widow, she's going to be the next champ. But right now, it ain't Brie. But anyway, guys, like I said before, my overall thoughts is this. It started off to be it was a great momentum, great hype, real interesting, got you pumped. But then it reached the middle, then it started to really slow down, and then slow down, and then slow down even further. You reach your main event, and you were like, meh. I mean, that's pretty much how it was for me. What are your overall thoughts about Hell in a Cell? Leave your comments in the comment section below and send me a video response on how you feel Hell in a Cell went and what you would do to actually correct the problem if there was one. This is Ninja Girl 30 signing off. Peace out. Later.